Walter Laurent.
Mr. Elam, this is 23 MM 1867. You were arrested for trespassing and for resisting officer without violence. There's probable cause. Ms. Fleming, did you want to make an offer on these cases?
Yes, Judge. State did convey an offer to Mr. Elam of an adjudication of guilt, credit for time served of 2 days, and no return absent medical emergency to the Advent Health Orlando on 601 East Rollins Street.
Mr. Elam, did you want to accept that offer, sir? Pardon me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. Did you have a chance to read the plea form that I'm holding here?
Yes.
We went over it, Your Honor.
Okay. And do you have any questions about any of the rights on the form?
Once I review, it should be like
I can't hear you.
straight. Once
I can't hear a thing you're saying.
no further.
Okay. Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation?
I am a U.S. citizen.
All right, sir, I will accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty as to both counts, sentence you to 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days' time served. You're not to return to the Advent Health. You will have to pay court costs. Those will be due by March 20th of 2024.
Court? Okay, court.
All right, and 1 year from today. Thank you, sir. Okay. Do I hit bench conference or teleconference?
Oh, this is the Portuguese?
So,
Hello?
Hello, hi, this is John, the Brazilian Portuguese interpreter ID 262695. How may I assist you?
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Judge Carter. I have a Mr. De Silva Costa present who I need some assistance with interpreting.
Okay, Your Honor, I'm ready to help you.
Thank you. This is case number 23MM1880. Are you Mr. De Silva Costa?
Esse é o caso 23MM1880. O senhor é o senhor da Silva Costa?
Sim.
Yes.
Sir, you were arrested for domestic violence battery.
Você foi preso por violência doméstica.
There's probable cause, and I will appoint the public defender to represent you.
Temos causas apropriadas, então eu vou arranjar advogado público para te defender.
You are not to have any contact with the alleged victim.
Você não pode ter nenhum contato com a vítima.
You are to maintain a separate residence.
Você tem que morar num lugar separado dela.
You are not to possess any weapons or firearms.
O senhor não pode ter nenhum tipo de arma ou arma de fogo.
You may return to the house one time to get your things with the police if needed.
Você pode retornar na sua casa apenas uma vez, acompanhado da polícia, se for necessário, para pegar as suas coisas.
and Your Honor, DCF was also contacted.
Sir, you will also need to abide by any DCF requests and cooperate with their investigation. Do you have any questions about
Você também-
anything that I've ordered?
Você tem que também responder a qualquer pedido de informação do DCF e obedecer às instruções deles. Você tem alguma pergunta a respeito do que eu te falei agora?
Sim.
Yes, I do.
What's your question?
Qual é a sua pergunta?
É porque eu não moro com meu irmão, que eu discuti com ele. Aí eu posso voltar na minha casa?
I don't live together with my brother that I have the argument with him. So that means I can go back to my own residence, correct?
Well, the victim in this case is not your brother. It's Elaine.
A vítima, nesse caso, não é o seu irmão, é a Helena.
Não, eu discuti com meu irmão. Fui preso por isso, não por causa da Elaine.
No, I argue with my brother. I was arrested because of that, not because of Elaine.
Well, that's not what the police report says. That's something you're going to have to talk with your lawyer about.
Não é isso que está no boletim de ocorrência. Então você vai ter que conversar com o seu advogado a respeito disso.
Ok.
So you cannot return to the house.
Você não pode retornar para casa.
So your bond is $500.
E a sua fiança é $500.
E como eu faço para mim poder pagar isso?
How can I pay my bond?
You will need to contact a bondsman in order to get more information about that. There's phones that you'll be able to use.
Você tem que falar com uma pessoa que chama bondsman. E eles vão te dar o telefone desses bondsmen e eles que ajudam a pagar a fiança.
Sim, mas aí eu tenho que ligar para alguém?
Sim, Your Honor, he's asking the same question. Do you want me to just repeat or interpret it to you what he said?
I already answered the
Your
question.
Honor.
So if it's the same question, it would be the
Eu
same
já-
answer.
Ok. Eu já te respondi. Você vai receber um telefone de umas pessoas que ajudam as pessoas com fiança, chama bondsman. Quando você pegar esses telefones, você liga e explica a sua situação e eles vão te ajudar, entendeu?
Ok.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Interpreter.
You're welcome, Your Honor. Thanks for using our services.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Sean Davis. 23 CF 3558. Sean Davis, he was arrested for battery on a uniformed security officer and resisting officer without violence.
Defense will waive, Your Honor.
I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent him. And they've waived his appearance. There's probable cause for the offenses. He's not to return to the scene, have contact with the victim, possess any weapons or firearms, and I'll stay the bond as to both counts. Good afternoon, sir. Your name? Mr. August, this is 20 CF 14366. You failed to appear for trial, sir, back on January 26th of 2022. At this time, your bond is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender if they were not previously appointed, and you will see the judge in Division 17. Thank you, sir. Good morning. Are you Elijah Thomas?
Yes, ma'am.
This is 23MM1780. This is your arraignment for the offenses of trespass in a structure and criminal mischief.
And, defense will enter a plea of not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, and we will give you an arraignment date in Division 82. Thank you, sir. Madeline Gonzalez Pega? Good morning, ma'am, or good afternoon. This is 23MM111, your arraignment for the offense of trespass in an occupied structure or conveyance. You are represented by the Office of the Public Defender. Ms. George, how would she like to plead?
She was just brought up, Your Honor. She wasn't in the cell. Can I have a moment?
And Your Honor, just for the record, an offer was conveyed to Ms. Gonzalez Pagan of an adjudication credit, no return to Miller's Ale House at 12175 West Colonial in Winter Garden.
So I think she needs a Spanish interpreter, Your Honor. I'm gonna enter a plea of not guilty. She's gonna need more time to speak with the attorney unless we could reset it for tomorrow. That way I have time to speak with her. It's the only thing holding her. I didn't see any issues with competency, so if we can reset it for tomorrow, I can actually speak with her and go through the plea with an
What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna give her, I'll let you enter a plea of not guilty,
Mhm.
and then, we'll give her the court dates, and then if anytime this week that you wanna reset it,
Okay.
you're more than welcome to do that, okay? You'll just
Okay.
contact my JA and she'll set it on the docket. So this is a Division 85 case.
Trial conference day will be April 17th at 9 a.m. in courtroom 4A.
Come speak.
Right, this is 23 CT 1218. Are you Mr. Burton?
He refused, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
Defense
This
will
is a
waive.
public defender case. Do you want to enter a plea of not guilty, Ms. George?
Oh, Burton, sorry. I was thinking Brenton. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and that's Division 85.
Trial conference day will be April 17th at 9 a.m. in courtroom 4A.
Carlton Lyons? Sir, this is 20 CT 7876. Your arraignment for the offense of DUI with a minor in the car or a alcohol level of 0.20 or higher. You're represented by the Office of the Public Defender. How would he like to plead, Ms. George?
I'm gonna enter denial.
Oh, is this a VOP?
That's what I see.
Yep, it is. Okay, great. So then we'll give you, in Division 83, we will give you a VOP date.
Status day, VOP status day will be May 8th at 1:30 in courtroom 6C.
All right. Thank you, sir. Jesleen Schwartz? Okay. Schwartz? She bonded? Yes. Terrell Tillman? Good morning, or good afternoon. I keep saying good morning. This is 22 CT 1201. Your arraignment for the offense of no motor vehicle registration. You are represented by the Office of the Public Defender. How would you like to proceed, Ms. George?
Did you plead to this item? I read. Look. I don't know why. In my system, it was showing that on the no motor vehicle, it was pled to. I just want to double check.
He also has 22 CT 1202, which is a driving while license suspended attached to it.
The attorney said that. I just wanted to- Okay. That one has an offer, Your Honor. I just want to make sure before I do, in our system, it could be an error. But I saw that it was pled out on the 16th.
Which one? The registration? of the-
Yes, 2022 CT 1201.
The habeas. Court minutes on the 15th, where he refused, and it got changed to the 16th. 16th, there were court minutes where it was stated a bond of 100. I don't see it.
Okay. You don't have that either? No. Okay, I just want to make sure, because in our system, it was closed out.
It's not.
And the offer on both, I believe was well, yeah, on both, is an adjudication of guilt, credit time served. And Mr. Tillman would
I have both sheets here, 22 CT 1202, 22 CT 1201. There's a no motor vehicle registration and a Dwellis. Okay. So, Ms. George, have you talked to him about the effects that may have on his driving record?
attorney did, and I also did, Your Honor.
Okay.
He understands, and we already went through the H2O issue, and he would like to resolve the case anyway.
Okay. Mr. Tillman, so for both cases, it's an adjudication and credit time served?
Yes, Judge.
All right, I have 6 days. Mr. Tillman, you understand, did you read the plea form, sir? Do you understand all of the rights on the form? Do you have any questions about the rights you're giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation? Do you understand if you are not a U.S. citizen that this plea will result in your deportation? I will accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty on both cases, order that you are to serve 6 days in the county jail with credit for 6 days' time served. You will have to pay court costs on both cases. Those will be due 1 year from today, or you need to see the clerk of the court for a payment plan. Okay, thank you, sir. Cedric Duvall. It's 23 MM 135. Ms. George, would you like to enter a plea of not guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, that's Division 84.
Pretrial conference day will be April 13th at 8:45 in courtroom 4B.
Cassell Hayes. Good afternoon. This is 23 MM 1760. Your arraignment for the offense of petty theft. Ms. George, how would she like to plea?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, this is a Division 82 case.
Pretrial conference date will be April 27th at 8:30 in courtroom 9B.
Thank you. Ms. Mack? Good afternoon, ma'am. This is 23 MM 1777. This is your arraignment for the offenses of trespass in the structure, trespass upon a grounds or facility of a school, and criminal mischief. Ms. George, how would she like to plea?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
And this is a Division 80 case.
Pretrial conference date will be April 6th at 9 a.m. in courtroom 9C.
Thank you, Ms. Mack. Tristan Brenton.
He's mental health, Your Honor.
Ms. George, do you want to reset that, or do you want me to just set the bond?
Reset, there's an offer to resolve, Your Honor.
Okay. So that's 23 MM 1882. We will reset Mr. Brenton's case for tomorrow. And David Calderon?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, good afternoon. This is 23 MM 1868. You were arrested for petty theft. There is probable cause. Is there an offer for Mr. Calderon?
No, Your Honor. There's no offer.
Oh, no offer, okay.
Your Honor, I was hoping to request time served based on the levity of the case. And I was also wanted to represent myself.
Okay, so hold on, I'm gonna talk to you about a couple of things. So right now, I have not appointed anyone to represent you, okay? You do not have an offer to resolve the case, and per the administrative order, I cannot resolve your case on a crime that is an enhanceable offense, meaning if you have prior petty thefts in your past, the state could charge it as a more serious offense. So I don't know what the facts are at this time, so I just know that they don't have an offer for you, and I can't resolve it. But what I am gonna do at this time is I'm gonna release you on your own recognizance. You can decide whether or not you want to hire a lawyer or represent yourself. The next time you come to court, the judge will be able to talk with you further about the requirements in order to be able to represent yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But today I'm gonna order, sir, that you are not to return to the BP gas station at 1112 South Cimarron. And you need to appear at all court dates and keep your address updated with the clerk of the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So much.
Mr. Chavez?
Yes.
Sir, this is 23 MM 1879. This is your initial appearance for trespass on property after warning. There's probable cause. Ms. Fleming?
Yes, Your Honor, state did convey an offer to Mr. Chavez.
No.
Adjudication, 5 days OCJ with credit for 2, and no return to the Bravo Supermarket at 999 North Cimarron.
I believe this is the one. Was this the one I asked you about?
There's 2 of them. I mean, he had one less than a month ago.
Okay.
I believe it was the building right next to this one.
Mr. Chavez, do you want to accept the offer?
Yes.
Did you sign the plea form?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights on the form?
No.
Are you on probation?
No.
Do you understand if you are not a U.S. citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes.
At this time, I will accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 5 days in the county jail with credit for 2 days' time served. You're not to return to the Bravo. You will have to pay court costs. Those will be due 1 year from today, or you need to see the clerk of the court for a payment plan. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, good afternoon. Your name?
Adriana Galay.
What is it?
Adriana Galay.
What'd you say?
Adriana Galay.
I can't. I don't.
Adriana Galay.
Your Honor, there's an offer to resolve the case. It's 5 days in the Orange County Jail with credit for 2. Can we reset for tomorrow?
Sure.
What do you mean reset for tomorrow? I'm gonna go home today.
Because I don't, we're gonna bring it back.
Why?
I want to.
Mr. Lima? Antonio Lima?
He bonded, Your Honor.
Okay.
Over there.
Miss Maldonado?
Right here.
We're gonna, nope, that's bonded. Are you Miss Maldonado?
Yes.
Okay. This is 23 128. Ma'am, you were arrested for trespassing. There is probable cause.
And state did convey an offer of an adjudication credit for 2 days and no return to Advent Health Apopka, absent medical emergency.
Miss Maldonado, did you hear that?
Your Honor, she has 2 open competency cases. I was gonna ask for an ROR, as long as she maintains contact with her attorney. She does have a telephone to keep in contact. But it's 2019 CF 14797 and 2021 CF 950080.
I'm wondering why she doesn't have fads for those. If they're open.
We're not putting them on incompetent to proceed anymore, Your Honor.
They stopped putting them on.
Why?
I don't know if it was with the new admin order or just a policy for the department, but we stopped about a year ago, maybe a little bit over.
Really?
Mhm.
And your Honor, state will leave the ROR within your discretion. State's only concern is she did have failure to appear rather recently.
Is she on conditional release in those CF cases?
1 second.
And it was back in 2021, Your Honor.
19 and 21.
Can you give me a case number, Miss Fleming?
I have 19 CF 14797 and 21 CF 9500. 147. She does have a comp status with Judge Navarro in 3 days on the 19 case.
Well, at this time, I'm not comfortable releasing her ROR. I'm gonna stay the bond at $500. And then she can see Judge Navarro on the 23rd and see if there needs to be a modification to the conditional release. And at that time, Ms. George, your office can file a motion. And if Division 11 decides not to make any modifications, then, you know, your office can file the motion. So at this time, bond is stayed at $500, Ms. Maldonado. Thank you. Mr. Doe? John Doe?
There's 2, is this Mr. Nettles?
Yeah, Mr. Nettles, that's me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Rashid Nettles? Yes, sir. This is 23 1874. You were arrested for assault and resisting officer without violence. There's probable cause. Is there an offer for Mr. Nettles?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Nettles, I'm going to order that you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Bond on count 1 is 500, bond on count 2 is 100. Thank you, sir.
Is that 100, Your Honor?
This one is him. And then the next person would be,
Your Honor, you said 500 or 100?
correct.
That's it.
And state would ask for a no return to the park.
All right, Mr. Nettles, you can't go back to the park either, okay? Thank you. You gotta post your bond. Yes, sir. Mr. Paul? Are you Mr. Paul? This is 23 1873. You were arrested for assault and resisting officer without violence. The court finds probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Was there an offer on Mr. Paul?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you are not to have any contact with the alleged victim. You're not to return to the park. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond on count 1 is 500. Your bond on count 2 is 100. Thank you, sir. Mr. Powers?
Yes, ma'am.
This is 23 1887. You were arrested for defrauding an innkeeper less than $1,000. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you.
And there is no offer at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Powers, at this time, I'm going to order that you are not to return to the scene and that you are to be released on your own recognizance. You do need to appear at all court dates and keep your address updated with the clerk of the court. All right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Huff? Ms. Huff, this is 23 0372. You were arrested for disorderly conduct. There's probable cause. Is there an offer, Ms. Fleming?
Yes, Judge. State did convey an offer of an adjudication and credit.
Is what?
An adjudication and credit, I'm sorry.
In credit for time served? Okay. Ms. Huff, were you accepting that offer? Okay. Did you have a chance to read the plea form?
We went over it, Your Honor. Back.
Okay. Ms. Huff, do you have any questions about any of the rights you're giving up on the form?
No,
Are you on probation,
not in this state.
but in another state?
Yes,
Do you understand that by entering into this plea, it may violate your probation?
Hmm?
Do you need to take some time to talk to your probation officer in another state? I mean, I'll release her today if she wants to figure that out. I'm not gonna make her decide between having to stay here because she doesn't have any money and violating her probation.
Can we do that, Your Honor?
Yeah. So, Ms. Hoff, listen to me. I'm gonna release you on your own recognizance today. Do you understand what that means?
She's upset.
I know. So I'm gonna release you. You're not gonna have to post a bond. You have to come back to court. That's the deal. Do you understand? You need to contact the public defender's office. She's gonna give you that form there. And they're gonna help you figure out your potential probation issue before you come back to court, okay? They're gonna give you a court date when you leave here. You need to make sure you come back to court on that day. It's gonna be at the courthouse downtown. Do you have any questions about that, Ms. Huff?
No.
All right. You're all set, ma'am. Mr. Welter?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. Good afternoon. This is 23 MO 373. You were arrested for disorderly conduct. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you, sir.
And
For Mr. Welter? 23 MO 373.
And state did command offer to Mr. Welter of an adjudication of guilt and credit for 2 days.
All right. Mr. Welter, do you want to accept that offer?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you read the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any questions about any of the rights on the form? Are you on probation? You understand that if you're not a U.S. citizen, that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in the county jail with credit for 2 days' time served. You will have to pay court costs, which will be due 1 year from today, or see the clerk of the court for a payment plan. And Mr. Welter, I'm just gonna tell you, that area where you were at is super dangerous. All right, I don't want you to get hit by a car, okay? So don't return to that area. You understand? Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Jones? Okay. Mr. Rivers?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rivers, this is 23 CT 1907. Sir, you were arrested for DUI with property damage.
Yeah, my car. Oh, my bad.
All right, there's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. Your bond is $1,000. I'm revoking the bond on 23 CT 1104 and 23 CT 1105. Those bonds will be set at none, sir. Thank you. Freddie Santos Matute. Antonio Jackson. Mr. Jackson, this is 23 CF 3567. You were arrested for possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver and possession of cannabis less than 20 grams. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $5,000. Your bond on count 2 is $100. I will be revoking the bond in 23 CF 2103. That bond will be set at none. Thank you, sir.
That it hasn't been filed on. I'd ask that you consider revoking and doubling the bond as opposed to holding him at no bond. Additionally, Your Honor, based on the fact that he was cooperative with police when asked about what he was doing with the drugs, I just ask that you consider that to a favor as opposed to holding him at no bond. He did tell the officer the truth.
That request will be denied. Thank you.
Oh, and can we be appointed to the out on bond? I didn't see an attorney.
Yes. 23 CF 3571, Denise Battle. Okay. Okay, thank you. Bennett? All right, this is 23 CF 2774. Sir, you were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for sale and delivery of cocaine within 1,000 feet of a child care facility. Sale and delivery of cocaine and possession of cocaine. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to return to the scene, and your bond on count 1 is going to be $5,000. Your bond on count 2 and 3 is $150. Thank you, sir. Mhm. Are you Jamie Britton?
Yes, ma'am.
This is 23 CF 3559. You arrested for armed burglary, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are not to return to the scene. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Is armed burglary an F1 PBL or just an F1?
Yes, Judge, it is, count 1 is an F1 PBL. So state would be asking that we stayed at no bond pending an Arthur hearing downtown.
Ms. George?
I don't see much criminal history. Looks like she has some out-of-state, but convictions are non-violent. I would ask that you consider using your discretion to set a bond.
At this time, I'm not going to exercise my discretion to set a bond. Bond will remain at none. Pending a bond hearing in Division 10, and bond on count 2 is $150. Thank you. Edward Cheveane.
And unhealthy, Your Honor.
In defense will waive the appearance, Your Honor.
That's 22 CF 14888. Mr. Cheveane was arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and stalking. The public defender is appointed to represent him. Bond on count 1, $2,500. Bond on count 2, $500. He's not to return to the victim's residence. No contact with the victim and no possession of weapons, firearm, or ammunition. Joseph Clark?
Behavior, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Well, I'm going to find a waiver of his appearance based upon his inability to come to court.
Oh, yes, that's fine, Your Honor. I was going to speak only to the possession by a convicted felon that the state was referring to earlier.
Okay.
That there is no PC.
All right,
Because
Miss.
it's not mentioned in the affidavit.
Okay. Ms. Fleming, did you want to request the 24 hours?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe in the affidavit, it just says it was determined he was a convicted felon. There is no case number, so they would request 24 hours.
All right, so, and that's 23 CF 3549. I'm finding a waiver of Mr. Clark's appearance based upon his inability to come to court due to his behavior. He was arrested for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession of cannabis greater than 20 grams, resisting officer without violence, and aggravated assault with a firearm. Bond will be stayed at $4,000 and reset for 24 hours in order for the state to establish probable cause. Bond on count 2, 3, and 4 will also be stayed. He's not to possess any weapons or firearms. Count 1. Mr. Fields? 23 CF 3544, Ryan Fields.
Field is outside medical, Your Honor.
So we'll reset him Pardon me?
I'll waive the appearance.
You'll waive? Okay. I will appoint the public defender to represent Mr. Fields. He was arrested for possession of MDMA, destroying evidence, possession of cannabis, less than 20 grams, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting officer without violence. Bond on count 1 is 1,000. Bond on count 2 is 150. Bond on 3, 4, and 5 is 100. Christopher Garcia. Mr. Garcia, you have 2 cases this afternoon, 22 CF 10285. You failed to appear, sir, for a status hearing back on February 8th of this year. Your bond in that matter is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you if they weren't previously appointed. You maybe that's the only case you have. Oh, no, here it is.
He also has a resisting without.
Yep, I see that. And then 23 MM 1872, you were arrested for resisting officer without violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in that case as well. Your bond is $500, sir. Thank you. Mr. Henson? Are you Mr. Henson? This is 23 CF 3541. You were arrested for possession of ecstasy. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Your bond, sir, is stayed at $1,000. Thank you. Mr. Hill? Are you Mr. Hill? All right, Mr. Hill, move forward to the microphone, please. This is 23 CF 3556. You were arrested for criminal mischief greater than $1,000. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Sir, you're not to return to the public storage. Your bond is $1,000. Thank you, sir. Mr. Blake Johnson?
Bond, Your Honor.
Martina Kendrick?
Mental health, Your Honor.
And defense will waive, Your Honor.
It's 23 CF 3572. Miss Kendrick was arrested for possession of ecstasy and battery. I will appoint the public defender to represent her, who's waived her appearance. I will set bond at 1,000 on count 1 and 100 on count 2. She's not to have any contact with the victim, return to the scene, or possess any weapons or firearms. Dancing Days, Pacheco, Santana.
Bond, Your Honor.
Norris Palmer. Mr. Palmer, sir, you are here in 23 CF 3542. You were arrested for possession of ecstasy and possession of methamphetamine. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Sir, your bond on count 1 is 1,000. Your bond on count 2 is 150. And I'm revoking the bond in 22 CF 4821. That bond will be set at none, sir.
The what bond will be set at?
You're out on bond case. I've revoked that.
I'm not out on bond, ma'am.
You're not?
I was,
They consider ROR not out on bond, Your Honor.
So that's revoked.
oh, the 33-day motion thing. I had a 33-day motion, and I've been going to court for that already.
Let me look at it, but
Yes.
unless it's a no file.
He was released on a 33-day motion back in May of 2022. State has since filed, and there's been many court dates since that point.
Say valid information?
Yes.
So I'm not gonna give you bond on that case. I'm gonna revoke that because you just were arrested for a new law offense and you were out for trafficking in cocaine greater than 28 grams. So, as I stated, that bond is revoked.
Okay, so how? to reinstate it? Okay.
Hello, ma'am. How y'all doing today?
Hi, sir. Are you Mr. Santiago?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Santiago, this is 23 CF 3569. You were arrested for possession of ammunition by a convicted felon, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, grand theft of a firearm, carrying a concealed firearm, and trespass in a conveyance. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Ms. George, was this one of the other cases?
Yes, Your Honor, as far as the convicted felon, there's no indication other than a blanket statement that he is a convicted felon, so defense would argue no PC.
And state would ask for a 24-hour reset, Your Honor.
All right, so at this time, I will stay the bond on counts 1 and 2 at $5,150. Bond on count 3 is $150, on 4, $150, on 5, $100. And then I'll reset for the state to establish probable cause in 24 hours. Sir, you are not to possess any weapons or firearms if you are not lawfully allowed to do so.
He would also ask for a no return, Your Honor.
And you're not to return to the scene. Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Terry? Good morning, or good afternoon.
How you doing, man?
Good, sir. You are here in 23 CF 3555. You are arrested for possession of ecstasy. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, out on bond, I would ask that you take no action. He picked that up in December, and to date, there's no information filed. So I would ask that you take no action on the out on bond. However, if you are inclined to revoke, you revoke in double as opposed to holding him in no bond, since the state has not filed.
So I'm not going to take any action on the out on bond case. Mr. Terry, do you have, do you know where the Orange County Courthouse is, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a phone?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I need you to, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance today. You need to appear at all your court dates, and you need to contact the public defender's office within 24 hours of your release from the jail. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Are you Mr. Wallace? Sir, this is 22 CF 6934. Sir, you're here because you failed to appear for pretrial on February 22nd of this year. Your bond on count 1 is 1,000. Your bonds on counts 2 and 3 is 100, sir. Thank you. That's okay. I had to think about it for a second. All right, Mr. Ware?
Mr. Terry?
Ms. George, I'm going to appoint your office to represent Mr. Ware. Would you like to waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's 23 CF 3548. Mr. Ware was arrested for criminal mischief greater than $1,000, resisting officer without violence, and battery. There's probable cause. Bond on count 1 is 1,000. Bond on count 2 is 150. Bond on count 3 is 100. He is not to return to the scene, have any contact with the victim, and is not to possess any weapons or firearms. Mr. Williamson? All right, I'm going to find a waiver of his appearance based upon his refusal to come to court. I will appoint the public defender to represent him. He was arrested in 23 CF 3578 for possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell within 1,000 feet of a school, possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell, possession of a controlled substance, possession of a controlled substance within 1,000 feet of a business with intent to sell, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, possession of cocaine with intent to sell within 1,000 feet of a school, possession of cocaine within 1,000 feet of a convenience store or business, possession of cocaine within 1,000 feet of a convenience store or business with intent to sell, possession of methamphetamine with intent, possession of a counterfeit substance with intent to sell, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
I would argue, no PC is it to the intent. It appears, he had syringes. It appears it was for personal use. I believe the call came in response to an overdose, which again is an indication of personal use as opposed to intent to sell. He was they didn't know if he was overdosing. One think these are just trumped up charges. They're charging him for every small thing, but I believe that this was a personal use issue as opposed to a intent to sell affidavit. I just argue no PC to the intent to sell. Additionally, Your Honor, even if you find PC on these, I just ask that you consider ROR in some of the counts. I just feel like that the officer overdid it.
Ms. Fleming, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Judge. In regards to counsel's argument about the PC on the intent, for PC at this stage, there has to be an indicia of sale. And in this case, there were numerous small empty clear plastic bags, which are used to package small quantities of the narcotics, as well as other indicia of use. However, there is indicia of sale in addition to the multiple different drugs the defendant allegedly had on him, the meth, the cocaine, fentanyl, and then the multiple kinds of paraphernalia, the cotton balls, the syringes, the elastic bands, cannabis, straws. There's a myriad of things that this particular defendant had. However, for PC for intent, there just has to be indicia of sale, which state would argue there is at this point just due to the several different drugs, how many of each drug, and the baggies. However, state has no objection to treating them as subsidiaries because there are a lot that overlap quite a bit.
Okay, yeah. I think that standard for probable cause has been met. And so at this time, I am going to set bond on count 1 at 5,000, on 2 through 12, bond will be 150, and on 13, bond will be 100. He's not to return to the BP.
And Your Honor, there was a first appearance detainer added for Mr. Williamson. He's out on ROR in 2022 CF 007033 AO.
It was 22 CF 7033.
Yes.
We ended up charging a possession of fentanyl, and it has been filed.
I'm going to revoke that bond and set it at none.
Sorry, did you say revoked?
Yes, and none. And Mr. Willis? Okay. Is that all we have? Yes, all right, and then court will be adjourned.
Brando Delgado can come forward. Brandon Delgado.
PD appointed.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Rafael Barreras, State Certified Court Interpreter, and I have been previously sworn.
All right, Mr. Barrera, good morning. Or good afternoon. We're doing initial appearance, so of course it's not the headset. And we'll get started now. Did you say the public?
Yes, PD is appointed.
All right, Mr. Delgado, I'm Judge Epperson. Good afternoon. I find probable cause for the offense of battery.
Buenas tardes, señor Delgado. Yo soy el juez Epperson. Determino que existen indicios razonables para el cargo de agresión física.
And so you're aware, I believe your brother Jordan Delgado is present and can hear and see what's taking place.
Yo creo que también está presente su hermano Jordan Delgado y él escucha y ve lo que está sucediendo.
One moment, I was not, these were not attached, all these sheets, so I only attached the ones that, this doesn't need to be interpreted. I got it right here. Okay, just a moment. I'm setting bond at $1,000.
Voy a programarle la fianza en $1,000.
Just a moment. Should you make bond, you're to have no contact with Diana Lopez Rodriguez,
Si usted sale libre bajo fianza, no puede tener contacto con la señorita Diana López Rodríguez.
you must not possess any weapons or firearms.
No se le permite portar armas de fuego o armas blancas.
You must not return to 318 Dorado Drive in Kissimmee.
No se le permite regresar al 318 Dorado Drive en Kissimmee.
I believe you probably have some personal belongings at that location. If so, I'll grant a one-time return with the assistance of the sheriff's office for acquiring those belongings.
Si usted tiene alguna pertenencia en ese sitio, le voy a permitir que regrese una sola vez acompañado de un agente del orden público para recopile sus pertenencias personales.
Your next court date will be announced.
Su próxima fecha de comparecencia será
On demand.
cuando esté programada.
You'll receive it.
Usted lo va a recibir.
Thank you, sir.
Gracias, caballero. And Your Honor, the interpreter can respectfully request the case number for this last defendant, please.
23MM 631.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's either 6-3 or 6-8. I'm doing my best to read the handwriting. Just a moment.
631.
631. Okay.
Thank you.
Next case number is 23MM 633. Marlon Flores Sanchez.
PD appointed.
Se le designa las oficinas del defensor público.
I believe that Ms. Shuge Mejia Vega is present.
Creo que la señorita Sugar Mejía está presente.
Where's the state attorney? Okay, well, the state attorney's not here. One moment.
Un momento.
Using the microphone. Criminal history, Ms. Jenkins.
Dice, señorita Jenkins, ¿cuál es el antecedente penal?
1998 battery DV, and it's unknown if it's the same victim.
En el 98 hay un cargo de violencia doméstica y agresión. No se sabe si fue la misma víctima.
Bond is set at $1,000.
La fianza está programada en $1,000.
Should you make bond supervised by pretrial release,
Si usted sale libre bajo fianza supervisado por el Departamento de Libertad Provisional,
no contact whatsoever with Ms. Shuge Mejia Vega,
no se le permite contacto con la señorita Sugar Mejía Vega,
no return to 2550 Carter Drive in Kissimmee.
no se le permite regresar al 2550 Carter Drive en Kissimmee.
If you have personal belongings, I'll grant a one-time return with the assistance of the sheriff's office.
Si usted tiene ahí alguna pertenencia personal, se le permite regresar una sola vez acompañado de un agente de orden público para recoger sus pertenencias personales.
You're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
No se le permite portar armas de fuego o armas blancas.
You're not to possess or consume any alcoholic beverages.
No se le permite portar o ingerir bebidas alcohólicas.
Next court date,
Próxima fecha de comparecencia,
On demand.
cuando esté programada.
you'll receive.
Usted lo recibirá.
Okay. I don't know if you got, I know you were on the phone. There's the conditions. Okay. All right, next case number 23MM643, Frankie Napoles Beltran.
PD appointed.
Se le designa al defensor público.
Okay, yeah. All right, one moment.
Un momento.
Criminal history, Ms. Jenkins?
Señorita Jenkins, antecedente penal.
The only thing he have is, from 2015 and it's sealed.
Lo único que él tiene es en el año 2015 y el caso está sellado.
Setting bond in the amount of $1,000.
Voy a programar la fianza en $1,000.
Should you make bond, you're to have no contact with Acaira, Caballero, Chavez.
No se le permite tener contacto con la señorita Acaira, Caballero, Calvez.
You must not possess any weapons or firearms.
No se le permite portar armas de fuego, armas blancas.
Because the two of you were living together at 4499 Northwest 185th Street in Miami Gardens, Florida, you must not return to that location with the exception of a one-time return with the assistance of law enforcement.
Ya que ustedes dos estaban viviendo juntos en la dirección de 4499 Northwest, 185 calle en Miami Gardens, Florida, no se le permite regresar a esa dirección a que no sea que esté acompañado de un agente de orden público una sola vez para recopilar sus pertenencias personales.
Your next court date will be provided.
Se le va a proporcionar su próxima fecha de comparecencia
On demand.
cuando sea programada.
Thank you.
Gracias.
All right, I believe that concludes our need for Spanish interpreter. Thank you.
You're welcome, Your Honor. Have a good afternoon.
All right. We have one more Portuguese. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so shall I call then? Yeah, okay.
Well, it's not that one, it's the
Oh, okay. Teleconference, okay, just a second. Camera's still not on?
We got it now, Your Honor.
Oh, you do? Sorry about that.
Madam Interpreter, can you hear us?
Yes, the interpreter can hear you.
All right, and Madam Interpreter, this is Judge Epperson. If you could just state your name.
Yes, my name is Rosa. Do you want my last name?
Yes, please.
Height.
All right, thank you, Madam Interpreter. If you could please raise your right hand to be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully translate from English to Portuguese and from Portuguese to English to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Calling up case 23MM632, Mike dos Santos Torres.
Ele
Okay,
appointed.
chamando o caso 23M632, Micah Desanos.
Micah dos Santos.
Micah dos Santos.
Sir, I've reviewed the police report. I find probable cause for theft.
Senhor, eu revi o caso policial e eu vejo causa provável para roubo.
Criminal history?
Histórico criminoso.
Your Honor, he has no criminal history.
Sua honra, ele não tem histórico criminoso.
I'll set bond at $500 not to return to the Walmart located at 3250 Vineland Road in Kissimmee.
Sorry, you said 3250 Vineland Road in Kissimmee?
Yes, Vineland, Vineland.
Ok, thank you. Então, eu vou criar a sua fiança para $500 e para o senhor não retornar para o Walmart no 3250 Vineland Road, no Kissimmee.
Next court date.
On demand.
Próxima data de tribunal, quando for necessário.
Thank you, sir.
Obrigada, senhor.
And Madam Interpreter, thank you. That concludes the need.
Oh, okay, yes, absolutely, Your Honor.
Have a good
well, thank
day.
you for using our services. Have a nice day.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Laura Bancroft.
PD appointed.
Your Honor, I've been informed that she's getting an IV and medical.
Okay, in case 22CF 3283, rested on a warrant for failing to appear in 22CF 3283. It's a zero bond. Do you want to waive her appearance?
You can waive her appearance.
Okay, then we'll just set that for the next court date.
Next court date, March 27th in courtroom 5A at 8:45 a.m.
John Brum or Broom?
He's approaching, Your Honor.
PD appointed.
All right, sir, good afternoon. I do find probable cause for providing false identification information while lawfully detained. I'm keeping your bond at $500, and your next court date will be announced.
On demand.
Thank you. James Crumb. James Crumb.
PD appointed.
Approaching, Your Honor.
All right, just a second. We have 3 matters to address, actually 4, okay? 3 cases today. In case 23 CF 824, Mr. Crumb, there's 4 listed charges. The court finds probable cause for what's listed as count 1 and 4. I find probable cause for reckless driving. Your bond will remain $500. I find no PC for counts 2 and 3 based on the narrative. I do find probable cause for count 4, which is listed as subsequent driving while license suspended, and your bond will be set at $2,500. So your aggregate bond in that case is $3,000. In case 23MM628, an allegation of theft, in that particular case, actually, hang on just a minute. As a principal, I do find probable cause. Your bond will be $500 in that particular case. You've also been arrested on a warrant for which a court already found probable cause for fraudulent use of personal identification information of a deceased. That's 23 CF 771. Bond is set at $5,000. Will remain at $5,000. Now, you are presently out on bond in case 23 MM 514. Your bond will be revoked in that case based on probable cause of new law violations. You'll be held on 0 bond on 23 MM 514. That concludes these matters. Thank you.
Next court date for 23 CF 824, 23 MM 628, and 23 CF 771 on demand.
Thank you. Jennifer Cruz.
PD appointed.
She's approaching, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, good afternoon, Ms. Cruz. Having reviewed the sworn affidavits, I find probable cause for possession of methamphetamine and possession of drug paraphernalia in case 23 CF 825. Your bonds will remain as they've been set, $1,000 on count 1 and $500 on count 2. You've also been arrested on an outstanding warrant for which a court already determined probable cause for burglary and petty theft, and your bonds will remain as they've been set, which is $3,500 on count 1, $1,000 on count 2. Ms. Cruz, on the burglary and theft, you're not to return to 4917 Sausalito Lane, Kissimmee. That's in case 23 CF 763. You're to have no contact with Lisa Mendez or Anthony Mayes, the alleged owners of the property. Your next court dates will be provided.
Next court date for 23 CF 825 and 763 on demand.
Thank you. That concludes these matters. James Davis.
PD appointed.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon. Just a moment. All right, in case 23 CF 827, I'm going to defer a probable cause finding and give the state 24 hours to supplement the record. The defendant in the court's judgment is not sufficiently identified as the operator of the motor vehicle. It's a fleeing, eluding, and Dwillis. I'm not going to, So I'm resetting that for tomorrow, giving the state 24 hours, and I'm not going to disturb the current bonds that are there, which is $2,500 on the Dwillis and 0 on the Fling. We'll reset that till tomorrow. I do find probable cause for possession of fentanyl. Just a second. Your bond will remain at $2,500. Based upon this probable cause finding of a new law violation, I'm revoking your bond in 23 CF 133, which is a felony case in front of Judge Wilson for a controlled substance in a county or in a county detention facility. So that'll be a 0 bond. Next court dates
On demand.
you'll receive. Thank you.
And just to verify, he was out on bond for 23 CF 133?
That's according to corrections, yes, he was out on bond and his bond is revoked in 23 CF 133. Thank you. And again, state, that's 23 CF 827 is the supplemental information being sought for that. Has to do with identified as the driver.
Okay, Judge.
All right, thanks. Isaiah Fort.
PD appointed.
He's approaching.
All right, Mr. Fort, good afternoon. I do find you can come up to the microphone, or you must come up to the microphone. Thank you. I do find probable cause for theft. Ms. Jenkins, history? All right.
2015 to 2016, burglary on occupied conveyance ×3, VOP ×12, carrying a concealed weapon. 2019 was juvenile burglary as well, burglary of a dwelling, occupied dwelling. 2020, possession of controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting an officer without violence, fleeing and eluding, petty theft, false ID. 2021, grand theft. 2021, resisting officer without violence, grand theft, petty theft. 2021, grand theft, and he has a hold in Spillman for Polk County, because I think he's out on probation on this. In 2021, grand theft. 2022, grand theft of the auto, Orange County, he's out on bond on that. And it's open, they have a hold in the computer for him on that one. And 3/3/2023, driving while license is revoked, and they file a NTA on that one, and it's an open case.
All right, thank you. This is a petty theft. However, based on the history and the totality of circumstances, I'm setting your bond at $2,500. Should you make bond, you're not to return to 1074 Cypress Parkway, that's the Hibbett Sports. You're to have no contact with Tavares Lampkin, no contact with James Crumb. Your bond is revoked in 22 CF 14279, that's the Orange County grand theft case.
On that one, they filed it after we sent it over, they filed a no info today on that one.
That's closed then. Okay, so no action will be taken on that. That's apparently been closed. All right, so those are the conditions. One moment. Your next court date?
On demand.
You'll receive. Thank you. Connie Hamilton.
PD appointed.
She's approaching.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Hamilton, good afternoon. I've reviewed the police report. I do find probable cause for the offensive battery. Just a moment. I'm setting bond at $750. Should you make bond, supervised by pretrial release, so PTR with bond, you're to have no contact with Albert Gannon. For now, until further order of the court, you're not to return to 202 Latonia Street in Kissimmee. I realize you probably or might have personal belongings there, so I would grant a one-time return with the assistance of the sheriff's office for acquiring those necessary personal belongings. And until further order of the court, you're not to possess or consume any alcoholic beverages. Your next court date,
On demand.
you'll receive. Thank you. Michael Henfield.
PD appointed.
Good afternoon. One moment. Okay, Mr. Henfield, just a sec. All right, I did review the sworn affidavit. I do find probable cause for assault, law enforcement officer, resisting an officer without violence. Your bonds will remain as they've been set, which is $500 on each for a total of $1,000. Unfortunately, you are presently on probation for resisting an officer with violence in case 21 CF 2003. The court does find an on-view violation of probation based upon probable cause of new law offenses, and you'll be held on a zero bond in 21 CF 2003. Your next court date,
On demand.
you'll receive. Thank you. Okay, 2003. Nathan Holmes.
PD appointed.
All right, Mr. Holmes, good afternoon. So you're aware, I believe your mother and sister are both present in the courtroom so they can hear and see what's taking place. I did review the police report. I do find probable cause for carrying a concealed firearm. Ms. Jenkins, any history?
Twelve 5/2021, reckless driving out of St. John's, grand theft auto, and that's the one that you're gonna do the on view for he's on 4-year probation until 5/4/2026. 4/27/2022, out of Duval County, grand theft auto, carrying concealed weapon, he was found guilty on that. 7/5/2022, dealing in stolen property out of Duval County, and driving while license suspended.
All right, I do find probable cause again, and I'll keep your bond at $1,000 on the carrying concealed firearm. Also, sir, you are, there's a warrant out of St. John's County for grand theft motor vehicle and non-view violation of probation, zero bond. Your next court date,
23 CF 830 on demand.
and you're not to possess any weapons or firearms in case 23 CF 830. Thank you. Keenan Johnson.
PD appointed.
He's approaching, Your Honor.
All right. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Johnson. I don't know if you want to speak to this. My initial conclusion was that the affidavit was short of probable cause in terms of describing what this defendant actually did to participate, aid, or assist or abet in the theft. He was present in the vehicle, located near the property, but other than that, I didn't see anything.
The only thing I would add, Judge, is that it appeared to the person who was working at Hibbett Sports that the people in the vehicle were acting as getaway drivers, so the officer at that point in time determined that they were all acting in concert together. And I believe Your Honor found probable cause under the principal theory for another one of the...
Right, the driver. All right, Mr. Johnson was alleged to have been in the rear seat behind the driver, and other than having some of the alleged stolen property in his immediate proximity, there's no description of how he might have actively participated in the theft. So, Mr. Johnson, this finding has nothing to do with whether or not the state might choose to prosecute, but I simply find that there's insufficient probable cause at this time, and so you'll be ROR'd or released on your own recognizance in this particular case. All right, thank you. Tavares Lampkin.
PD appointed.
He's approaching, Your Honor.
All right. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Lampkin. One moment. Having reviewed the police report, I do find probable cause for theft. I see under risk assessment, unable to assess, refused. Ms. Jenkins, any history?
From 2012, petty theft, from 2007 to 2012. Petty theft, failure to appear 2 times, robbery with firearm. 2013 to 2018, contempt of court. VOP 3 times, petty theft, possession of cocaine, possession of marijuana, out of county warrant, a failure to appear, dwellers, possession of meth, providing false ID to Leo, possession of drug paraphernalia, another failure to appear, fleeing and eluding police. 2019 dwellers, 2019 petty theft, use of shoplifting device, possession of cannabis, drug sale meth out of Dade County. 2021 resisting officer without violence, VOP, grand theft. And he have an open case in Hillsborough County. He has a warrant out of Hillsborough County for grand theft, 3rd degree. And out of Texas, 2022, theft of property.
In 23 MM 640, your bond will be set at $10,000. Should you make bond, you're not to return to the Hibbett Sports located at 1074 Cypress Parkway. No contact with James Crumb, no contact with Isaiah Alexander Fort, the alleged co-defendants. Your next court date?
On demand.
You'll receive. Thank you. Tori Massey.
Deputy appointed.
He's approaching, Your Honor.
All right. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Massey. I have reviewed the police report. I'm open to hearing arguments, but my initial finding is that the affidavit supports merely a lesser included of trespass on count 1 and no probable cause for criminal mischief in count 2, as there were multiple individuals seen entering the home, but no specific conduct is ascribed to Mr. Massey with respect to criminal mischief. I don't know if any feedback from either side.
We would just reiterate what you said, Your Honor. In fact, the officer specifically states that there were 12 unidentified individuals that just walked in and out of the front window. He never described any of those individuals destroying the door or the screens referenced in the affidavit.
Nothing from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, so I do find probable cause for a lesser included offense of trespassing on count 1, no PC on count 2. Defendant will be released on his own recognizance on count 2. On count 1, just a moment. Any history, Ms. Jenkins?
He have juvenile history and it's sealed.
Okay. I'll set bond at $500 on the lesser included offense of trespassing on count 1, supervised by pretrial release. Sir, you're not to return to 548 Bristol Circle in Kissimmee should you make bond. Your next court date will be provided.
On demand.
You'll receive it. Moises Peters, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that right.
Deputy appointed.
All right, sir, good afternoon. I do find probable cause for driving under the influence. One moment. Ms. Jenkins, history?
He has no history, Your Honor.
All right, defendant qualifies for direct PTR. Going to go ahead and release you on pretrial release supervision. Can you state your last name for me?
Peters.
Peters, all right, 23 CT 1253, direct pretrial release supervision. You're not to possess or consume any alcoholic beverages or go to any bars until further order of the court. Your next court date?
April 4th in courtroom 4A at 8:15 a.m.
Thank you. Dios David Vargas.
PD appointed.
All right, good afternoon. One moment. I have reviewed the police report. I do find probable cause for the aggravated assault. Ms. Jenkins, any history?
2002 to 2007, VOP, disturbing the peace, assault, lottery, and prowling, 3 times failure to appear, dwellers, burglary of a dwelling, possession of marijuana, aggravated battery, burglary structure, resisting officer without violence, fleeing and eluding, 2008 to 2011, disorderly intoxication, contempt of court, VOP 3 times, dwellers, shoplifting, ag assault, failure to appear, robbery with firearm. He went to DOC in 2018 to 2020, 2021 possession of cocaine, 2022 battery, twice battery, and that's it.
All right, $15,000 bond. Should you make bond, you're to have no contact whatsoever with Ms. Sarah Freeland, not to possess any weapons or firearms. Mr. Vargas, also not to return to 1080 Jack Calhoun Drive in Kissimmee. Again, the no contact is with Sarah Freeland. Your next court date will be provided.
On demand.
You'll receive. Gaquarius Williamson.
PD appointed.
He's approaching.
All right. All right, good afternoon, sir. This is 23 CF 834. I'm open to, I don't know the extent to which either side has reviewed the affidavits, but I'm open to hearing arguments on this one as to PC. The defendant was alleged to, I believe, to be the operator of a Camaro motor vehicle that individuals might have been seen entering after the alleged burglary or trespass. I didn't see anything with particular respect to this defendant making entry.
I didn't either, Judge, so nothing from the state.
Mr. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, the officer, because of the fact those people were walking towards his car, the officer admits that car was off camera, so away from the property that would have been entered into. And just as with the other alleged co-defendant, there's nothing describing Mr. Williamson's conduct as causing damage to the screens or any of the doors.
All right, Mr. Williamson, I find the affidavit does not sufficiently support probable cause for either counts 1 or 2. You'll be released on your own recognizance in this matter. Now, that doesn't really have any bearing on whether the state will or will not prosecute, but there's not probable cause for you to be held on this today, so you're being released. All right, thank you. As to both counts, yeah.
Next court date on demand.
Jonathan Alvira.
No application for this defendant.
He's still in medical detox, Your Honor.
Wow. I think Judge John Savich first heard this on the 17th.
Yes, Your Honor. I was actually on IAS on the 17th.
Okay. Oh, that is true. It does say reset when available, so if we could just stress that to corrections, that defendant doesn't need, or corrections and clerk, he doesn't need to be set for IAs until he's actually available. All right, so for now,
Your Honor,
Yeah.
did check the night before to make sure they are able to come?
Okay.
And at the time he was, sometimes they just refuse.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder if we could get some particularity from corrections there as to whether he refused to come or whether or not it was an actual detox situation. They don't typically, well, I'm no expert, but detoxing for 5 days, 4 days.
Hello, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I've been told he's still detoxing.
Okay.
I can look forward into it if you like.
That's okay. We'll, let's reset when available. All right, thanks, though. I appreciate that. Anthony Torres Diaz.
He's approaching.
Okay. Good morning. Sir, you've actually been arrested on a warrant out of Orange County. There's a zero bond because it was, I believe, yeah, let me see. Yeah, failure to appear on a felony theft up in Orange. The case number is, I'm looking for, well, it's a petty theft, but with 2 prior convictions. Just a moment. So you're right, it's a petty theft with 2 prior convictions, and it's out of Orange County, so Orange County will be notified to pick you up, and they'll pick you up within a reasonable amount of time. It's 20 CF. It is a felony because of the allegation of prior thievery. All right, so the case number 20 CF 107050. Thank you. All right, 23 MM 635, Coitez Anderson.
PD appointed.
He's approaching.
All right, Mr. Anderson, good afternoon. I do find probable cause for the offense of theft. Bond will remain $500. You're not to return to the CVS located at 1205 West Vine Street in Kissimmee, and your next court date
On demand.
you'll receive. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
in action, he's out on county probation, 23 MM 84 for petty theft.
He needs to come back. Yeah, sorry about that.
23 MM 84.
I don't know that I had a cover sheet on this one. Reset, yeah. Oh, it's right in front of my face. Thanks. Actually, no, it's not. This is the IA paperwork. Yeah, sir, one more matter here. Let me take a look at page 2. And then scroll down, Judge Sanders, yeah, okay. That's right. 223. Wow. So just a couple of weeks ago, as you may recall, you were in front of Judge Sanders and you were placed on probation for theft or stealing. And the court does find an on-view violation of probation. So in case 23 MM 84, there'll be a 0 bond hold for an on-view violation of probation. And next court dates, you'll receive. Thank you. Thanks. All right. I believe we've run our docket. Mr. Williams, do you concur?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great. Then have a good day. We are in recess.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks.